How's it going, everybody? This podcast is brought to you by RYYZN Make Life Workout, a health, self-development and lifestyle platform building a passionate community of knowledge seekers, creative dreamers and future leaders.
For details on the latest RYYZN event that will feature expert speakers in the field of self-development and growth, check out www.ryz-workout.com.
That's www.ryz-workout.com. Enjoy the show. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the High Frequency Club podcast. My name is Marwin.
And I'm Shanae Bierman. We're here talking all things self-development, growth and mindset.
In this week's episode, we sit down with father, husband, Les Mills national trainer, Adam Rigby. This was an episode that I was super excited to record because I've been a part of Adam's podcast himself, and he always struck me to be this super thoughtful, lots of wisdom kind of person. And that's exactly what we got today. There's this warmth about Adam that just oozes out of him, his love for people, and it shows with the insights that he shares in this episode. One thing that really struck with me was the difference between having a mission and a purpose. Also the difference between a deep thinker and an overthinker. And there's even a moment here where I got really, really emotional because he helped create a space that brought that out of me.
Yeah, I think we touched on those sort of quite rare traits of presence and active listening and that ability to sort of be with yourself and your own thoughts. So they're things that I think Adam really embodies those.
Yeah, he shares his struggles with celebrating his own success when he's so good at celebrating others and allowing others to really believe in themselves.
And balancing out that putting others first, but as well as putting yourself first now and again to make sure you are able to give more. So yeah, let us know what you think once you've had a listen and make sure you're following along at the High Frequency Club.
Enjoy the episode.
Cool.
Awesome.
Super cool.
So let's get the show on the road. You mentioned before that you went and had a coffee. It's 2 p.m, brother.
Yeah, I know.
You can have a coffee post in the afternoon and still be all good?
Have it. Yeah, man, I drink a lot of coffee. I do. I love it. And it's part of the culture in Wellington too. We've got some amazing cafes. Yeah. I don't use it as a crutch. It's just a ritual for me.
Absolutely.
And even though coffee can unlock a lot of chaos, there's also calm in it, in the ritual of just getting the spoon and stirring gently.
Yeah, the process. I love that, how you call it the ritual.
The process, the ritual. And yeah, Wellington vibes. And the great thing, we've got some amazing cafes. Just go down the road in the morning, load up on coffee, but without a word of a lie. There's a cafe down there, prefab, and I'll get in there on a Monday morning after class, ritual. And what's the record, mate? 35 seconds, I reckon. The coffee was under the nose. Just Vienna, thick whipped cream. Deluxe dining experience. But I made the mistake. Obviously the barista knows the order and it gets delivered. And I've tried not to make eye contact now, because usually if I just give him the nod, he thinks it's a coffee, rather than just a recognition of saying hi.
Oh,
so
right.
If I don't give him the nod anymore, just stare at him blankly.
Well, apart from being a coffee connoisseur, for people who don't know who Adam Rigby is, who aren't familiar in the health and fitness industry and the leadership that you do have, how would you describe Adam, and what does he do? What is he all about?
Chaos. Adam is he's not chaos. What am I? First and foremost, really, I see my role as husband and father. Right, first and foremost. Fortunate enough to be a national trainer and presenter for Les Mills, which is an honour and a badge I carry with me with great pride as well. I've been doing this for 17 years, teaching group fitness. So it's been a very OG. And
what masterclass would I've seen you on?
What masterclass?
RPM.
Many, actually. Yeah, we participated in the crowd for a long time and loved it. Absolute frothers. And that was part of it too. But what really excited me was it was on the cutting edge. So you're exposing yourself to what's happening right now. And we don't do enough of that. And we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But it was what was happening. And Les Mills works 3 months, 6 months in advance. So it was a great way just to keep on the pulse of what was happening, where the program was going, and some real intense learnings as well, seeing what the presenters were doing, how they acted, interacted, meeting people, which is critical, connections, friends, moments, all of those types of things. And you know, I recount them. I'm fortunate enough to know the presenters. I don't know whether it's that common bond of suffering that people, when they go through shared experiences, they just know. So a lot of presenters, especially in the cycle space, just became super close, very, very close, and just amazing. And I've been fortunate enough again to be able to travel with those guys globally, riding bikes. But back to your point, who am I? Yeah, on top of that, just a lover of life, really, and as my Instagram would say, a lover of life and shiny things, and lover of people and chats. I love a good chat.
There's this warmth that comes from. I've had the privilege of being on your own podcast. You know, shout out to the DMC
cool.
podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
And even just from, I had never met you before until that day.
Yeah, right,
and even from having that, you know, that filter of digital connection and having a computer in front of us, I felt this extremely strong sense of warmth from you, positivity.
Yeah.
Someone who is incredibly thoughtful and someone who's quite reflective. Is that something that has always been innate in you, or how much of it is nature and nurture? This positivity, this thoughtfulness about you, this mysticism that is Adam Rigby.
Yeah, good question, mate. Like, I've always been curious, I think, and you know, they do say curiosity kills the cat, but a cat's got many lives, so continue to be curious, you know. And if you tap out 9 lives, you've had a good one. I've always been curious, inquisitive. I've always been energetic. I don't know about, have I always been this positive? And I think, you know, I believe we're born the way we're born. We've got a spirit and a soul that flows through us, and via experiences and the groups that we spend time with, and family, it impacts who we become. So it's been a journey to get to this space, to get to learn who I am and what's important to me, and part of that is the people that I spend time with, who have had impact on me, who I've listened to rather than not listened to, and you put it in the wins and losses columns, eh? And I think through heartbreak, through going through dark times, you get to appreciate the light a little more, and that's kind of the space I'm in. Especially of recent, I think, in terms of as you get older, you experience loss a lot more, so dealing with that is pretty hard. But yeah, I don't know, I've not fallen naturally, but I sit naturally in this space. My curious nature is more about unraveling what makes people tick, like a Swiss watch. You know, I'm fascinated with watches as well. So many moving parts, and I just love sitting, talking, investigating, learning about people and experiences. And then a lot of the times that inspires me to actually take on experiences of my own. Becomes shared experiences, and that leads to inspiring other people to take steps. So I've always been a connector. Can't say I've always been a great listener, but I've learned the power of listening. One of the most powerful tools. And again, that's one thing that I pride myself on. If we have a conversation, I will listen. You'll get 100% of my attention and my thought and my heart in that moment. You know, I won't shy away from it, and that's important too. Yeah, because life moves rapidly, right? I mean, everything now, especially, and with the times that we're confronted with, whichever side of the fence, if there's a fence, it's difficult. It's challenging. It's challenging. We don't know which is right and which is wrong, but yeah, if we could just talk more, we could just have those conversations, give people the time. I'll always give people time. And like I say,
you're
it's all
right.
we've got.
Yeah, time is all we've got. You're right in the sense that with, like, you know, everything is moving so fast these days.
Yeah.
And it's becoming increasingly more difficult to be in the moment.
Yep.
And if we're not in the moment, we struggle to listen. And we were having a yarn with Mandy about this earlier, that listening is a skill. What tools and processes did you have to practice in order for you to become a better active listener?
I struggle sitting still, to be honest. And I mean, you could diagnose it as most doctors would want to, and give you stuff to curb that enthusiasm, and probably caffeine doesn't do me a lot of favours, to be honest, mate. But here we are. So I think in reference to listening, it's again being still, removing myself from distraction, putting things down. Eye contact is a big thing. Yeah, listening is one thing, but having the other person in the conversation or the group know that you're listening is another. And that's one thing you've got to be wary of. I am distracted easily. So for me to sit in this space was a massive challenge, but the payoff was also huge for just sitting in and just slowing down. Because I guess just in society, again, we have to feel like this river's running at warp speed and we just have to jump with it and hang on as best we can. But again, through the experience of learning and winning some, losing some wonderful connections, you just get to learn the benefit of slowing down. We all need to get better at it, to be honest. I'm still a work in progress. By no means. I'm still trying to get better at it. You know, I give my family and friends all the same level of care and attention, if that makes sense. I was joking about the kids that I have here in the gym, and it's true. I do treat them like my children, but in a great connected way, not just a do your dishes or make your bed kind of way. It's just a connected. I care. I'm listening. I'm here for you. And when people know that, it changes the relationship and it changes the way they see you. And when people trust you a little more, I think trust you have to earn, right? You don't walk in the door and say, trust me, don't trust that person. But through conversation. So take the time and you figure out who you can trust.
I think your love of connecting with people, your curiosity, as you said, and your love of just other people has put you in a position where you're a role model to a lot of people, and you're also in the form of a leader now. What does good leadership mean to you?
It's funny, because I've always been and I think we're inherently shit at it, is listening to praise. Like, we're not very good at it at all, and I've learned to get better at it, but I've also learned to give myself credit as well, because you know, my view with stuff like that is hard work wins, and it's acknowledgement of the hard work that I've done in terms of leadership to be in this position. But I think, what does a good leader do? What is a good leader? You know the book, Cynic Leaders Eat Last?
I've heard of it, I've never read it.
Yeah. And I think a great leader is one who puts people first, and that's definitely me. And who views people equally, and who gives people equal opportunity. A leader is someone who doesn't judge by the cover, but by the story in the book. And a leader in my mind is someone who really inspires people to work on their story, to focus on the story. A leader is someone who allows people to develop belief in themselves. Because a lot of people don't have that. And the more people you're taught to, it's surprising through experience. And sometimes it's an experience that you share, you can relate to it. Other times it's not. Some people don't have a great upbringing. Some people don't have great opportunity. But I think in inspiring them in a way to see how great they are, to understand their own true power, to understand that we all have opportunity, to understand the benefit of hard work, but also it's about collective energy. And I'm fortunate to be in a position of leadership because of the leaders that I've had that have made it okay for me to be here, that have given me permission. But ultimately I had to give myself permission, people who at times, you know, that say a leader is you just see something in someone, a spark, and they don't even see it themselves. That's the stuff I love about leadership.
You mentioned before that you found it hard to listen to praise.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, especially in the culture of Australian and even, you know, New Zealanders as Kiwis, we struggle to celebrate our wins.
Or
Or
we
when
do.
someone's trying to celebrate us, it almost feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Where do you think that comes from individually from yourself and also as like a collective? Why is it so hard for us to take praise?
I think I even think early on. Again, think of the groups that we hang out with, and people tend to roam as a pack, so it's not too cool to stand out, because you'll get set upon, and I've had that experience with my own kids. One in particular, absolute rock star, but was made to feel less. Was picked on, was abused, was bullied, which is common, just because she was wonderfully unique and different. And that pisses me off, continues to piss me off. You know, so it's that pack mentality, and you know, I think about the groups that I've moved through or moved within, and I became really good at mimicking. You know when to fit in. The best thing you can do is actually look at the traits and behaviours and do that. And it was so far removed from what I was doing or who I was that it was kind of like, why am I doing this? And quite often the leaders in the pack were the insecure ones, were the weak ones. So the tall poppy came from the ones that were really the ones that were struggling with it as well. I think we're better at dealing with it. We're better at understanding what it is. We're way better at celebrating as a group, collectively. But I still think there's a way to go, even with myself, with celebrating stuff. Yeah, celebrating stuff, as in where I sit today, who I am. Again, this leadership, the stuff I've done. I mean, I'll give you a really good example, actually. So, bless my wife, Justine, married for 25 years, and I love to talk about her because, I mean, she's everything to me, right? But she holds me on this pedestal, and she, when we meet new people, she tells the story of how we met, which is great, which is accurate, right? Which is 100% accurate. She took us, she wanted to go on a run. She was a runner, just complete fitspo, and I was pushing weights. You know, I was 93 kegs. Legs like tree trunks, and we just went to the gym and picked stuff up and put stuff down. That's all we did, and then went out and got smashed. You know, drink a lot of beers and behave poorly, and play a bit of sport. And bless the day that she walked into my life. But she'll tell the story, and then she'll go on about the stuff that I've achieved, and in terms of, you know, she talks about triathlon, where I couldn't swim. I could not swim to save my life. My mother had a fear of water because she was told she was going to drown when she was younger by one of her aunties. It was a superstition thing. So Mum never really took us near water. Then I had a very bad experience when I was younger when she decided, okay, I've got to teach you to swim. And I wasn't too keen, and the swim instructor just grabbed my head and put me under the water, and that was it. I was out, right? So, yeah, don't do that. Coaches, don't do that. Yeah, we're going to try deadlifts. I'm going to put 400 on the bar, and day one.
Trial by fire.
Yeah.
Trial by injury.
Yeah. So, bless her. She, so the way she tells the story is, and what I love about her, she's a doer. She's a definite doer. And so she's like, okay, let's do a, do you want to do a triathlon? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I was just infatuated with her. I mean, she's this stunning, gorgeous creature who was energetic and vivacious and bubbly, and I was hitting just, you know, way above my station in my mind. And so she said, do you want to do a triathlon? Yeah. Yep. Not even knowing what it was. Should we go for a swim? Yep. Let's do that. Let's go to the pool. Let's go to the pool. And here I was at the pool, and she goes, okay, so do you want to swim the length? I went, sure. Okay, so here's the thing, can't actually swim. I can't actually swim. So she helped me, progressively helped me to swim, and we did a team triathlon, and it always been my father was a cyclist. I love bike riding, and took that up with vigour. And yeah, we did pretty well at this, and then I thought, I really quite like this, and then set some goals around, again, we see people who are really good at it and chatting, going, hey, I'm Adam, shit, you're awesome today, and how do you train, what do you do, what do you eat? And we just mixed in these circles, which meant the level of improvement was quite high. And I thought, man, I'd always wanted to put a silver fern on and represent the country, and I was fortunate enough to be able to do it. And so she tells the story, and I'm kind of like, anybody can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. But she pumps me up, and I'm like, oh, hang on, pump the brakes here. But I never really sat back and celebrated it. And I thought, what I've actually achieved is really cool. But also what I said to her is, it's our success. It is our success. It's a shared success. So me doing that was because I was inspired by her when I couldn't swim a length, going to swimming, 3.8 kilometres. In a cold lake or a cool ocean is a lot, and doing anything for between 10 to 12 hours, let alone multi-sport, is a lot. But being inspired by others, so yeah, always playing it down. But then I kind of then I slowed down a little bit, and I thought that's actually pretty cool. What I have managed to achieve. When you get people in your life like old mate with their head under the water that did everything he could to make sure I didn't succeed, but here I am. But part of my success story is again bless the day that she walked into my life, and every day I get to wake up next to her. I told her this, but to have that in your corner, to have that, and that's having that for me has inspired me to be that for other people. Yeah.
I like what you said about, the tall poppy syndrome, right? When you stand out, there's always that pack mentality of people trying to bring you down. And in your role as a leader and lover of people, it's your job to instill self-belief in these people, right? How do you facilitate that space where someone's trying to break out into their own individuality, but then they have to go back to that space where it's frowned upon? But you're trying to make them smile upon it.
Yeah, and we look at the top level. When you're doing anything, you always look at the top, and you always see that you have the picture in your mind of what it looks like, and it could be any sport. There's a definite at the top of the game in RPM and pump and group fitness. You've got Glenn Ostergaard, and believe me, for 2 years I did a really good Glenn Ostergaard, but I was kind of missing the point. And everything that we aspire to be is based on that picture or that perception of who that should be. I need to be that. And you'll never be that person. I'll never be Glenn, but Glenn will never be me. So that's where I go. I say, you are one of a kind. There's no one on this planet like you. You could meet an identical twin and be completely different. There is no one on this planet like you. You are one of a kind. So let's work on that. Yeah? And hey, on top of that, if you do your best, I'm a big fan of this, if you do your best, how can you be disappointed? How can anybody rip you for standing up and doing your absolute best in the moment? And it's all relative, depending on how you're feeling, what type of day you had, what you've eaten, all of these types of variables. But if you do your best each and every time you get the opportunity, how can you get ripped for it? And why wouldn't you celebrate it? Oh, I finished 51st. Did you do your best? Yep. Ace. Shit hot. Did you learn? Yep. Did it hurt? Yep. Hurt the first guy too, but in a different way. So yeah, just embracing what's uniquely us, inherently us, because we're all different. A melting pot of experiences and genetics and all of these types of wonderful things. And I love that people are now breaking the mold. Whether it's sports, basketballers, or just changing the game and saying, do you know what? I've never looked like the picture. Who cares? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. because someone believes in me and told me I could do it, I'm going to try. And if I don't, there's a lesson in there somewhere, and it may lead me in another direction. And that's the thing too, you know? So yeah, just inspiring people to be themselves, reminding them how great that is, how unique they are, and if you do your best with what you have, in any moment you're winning.
Yeah.
You're winning.
I think, like you said, that's often it's that comparison that is what limits our belief in ourselves, because if you're always, oh yeah, but they're better, or this, that, the other, I'm not that, or I don't have that much experience, then you're not going to be celebrating your wins, because you always think, well, I can be better because they're better, versus, like you said, just being sort of reflecting and being proud of where you are now from where you previously were.
Yep.
Like you said, if you came 51st, but the year before you were 60th, well, hey, that's an improvement, and you gave your best. Like, that's awesome. Versus, like, yeah, but I'm still not number one.
Yeah, and comparison is a passion killer, a joy killer, killer of joy. And we know it, and we see it on Instagram, and you're bombarded with it. And, you know, there are so many, you talk about the negative and the picture. There are so many inspirational stories, though, online as well. There's a great element to it as well. People overcoming adversity, people putting themselves in situations where they are challenged, people rising up from, you know, what seems like the depths of despair and doing something incredible. And it's in all of us. It's in all of us. But yet we look and go, okay, guy's got a six-pack, I don't have a six-pack, not a man. You know, we put in our worth, like I said, on the why spend so much time investing in what the cover looks like when it's the story. You know, when it's the story. Because you're not going to hold the picture of you with a six-pack and your family's crowded around you and going, look how good my abs were. It's 24. Sick. Not even flexing. That'll probably be me, actually, to be honest. I want it to be a joyous occasion surrounded by loved ones, but let's not go there yet. I'm not quite ready.
Adam, you mentioned earlier in the chat that you love to put people first, you know? Yeah. Is there a struggle, or how do you manage when you have to put you first?
Whew, I've talked about this recently to a psychologist, actually, as part of an interview. And I had to give myself kind of permission or remove the guilt from putting myself first, because I kind of got in the flow of saying, okay, everybody must come first. But then the realization is, if you want to give your best, you have to be your best. And to be your best, you've got to devote time to yourself as well. And if you don't do that, you know, you spend so much time pouring into other people's cups that eventually yours will empty. And for me, it was reconnecting with things I was really passionate about. Love bike riding, and that's a lot of time where I do a lot of thinking, deep thinking. And I'm a deep thinker, not an overthinker, which saves me. You know, I like to think about stuff, but I think the important thing for me is it has a conclusion, and I do that through either going on a long bike ride and just thinking about the stuff that flows into my mind, or just talking to people about a situation. Yeah, so where was I? Yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Sort of balancing out your you time with...
Yeah, that's it, sorry. Yeah. Became evident early on, and I think the prime example really was the protests in Wellington. It was a shit time and energy was low, and I'm a massive empath, right? And that's environment, that's energy, that's people. And so what would happen is everybody would walk in and just the vibe was different, way different, and people needed me in a different capacity, and I started realizing that it was affecting me, and it probably pulled me away from some of the things that I should have been doing for myself in terms of self-care, because at that time I was so focused on other people that I kind of lost the importance of looking after myself. So I was like, hang on, just pump the brakes, reconnect, let's go for a bike ride, let's think this out. Long bike ride, suffered, thought again, processed, got back feeling better, and I'm like, this is it, this is the stuff that I need to be doing. And then via process, I started doing the little things as well, not just big things, not just going out for 4 hours and disappearing, but doing the little things that made me happy. and some of that was doing little things for other people. And that gave me a little bit more perspective, which was really, really important. And it enabled me to help people in a different way. Because a lot of times you walk into a situation and people are feeling, I think it's you've got to be conscious also of how you're feeling in that moment as well, to understand how to connect to it. You've got to understand an emotion, how it feels, and I think recently with the vibes being so incredibly low, with people being so incredibly stressed, a lot of stuff, you know, we lost our city. The energy was off. There was a lot of stuff going here which we'd never seen before, and even as a nation, as things were starting to evolve. But all I kept reminding myself is, let's look at our history. Littered throughout history are moments of destruction, of turmoil, but incredible opportunity for growth. And if anything in there is the lesson that no one wants to feel like that again, or no one wants to feel like this again, let's not do that again. Let's find a way to work through it. Let's sit down and talk to each other about it. And that's wasn't going on. Just wasn't happening. So yeah, just looking after myself first and foremost, giving me the ability and opportunity to be there and be present and feel good and open. It was a game changer, I think. Was an absolute game changer for me. And part of that, we talked about it before, bro, about the podcast, even the podcast. I felt, man, I have to be 100%. I have to be firing on all cylinders. And that wasn't necessarily the case, because again, you know, if what do you do if you're not feeling good? One day you just don't get up, don't get out of bed, and you're feeling challenged one day because you think, oh man, this workout's going to be hard. Every workout's hard, mate. For some people, one footstep is hard or impossible, but yet we still do it. So yeah, it was an absolute shift in my focus and attention, and from that moment, with that clarity that it gave me, and saying permission to look after yourself, just sit back, remove the guilt, because Adam, you know that in that moment, now you're looking after yourself, man, you're in great position to help people.
What do you do apart from bike ride to take care of yourself? What are those rituals, processes?
Coffee.
I am, coffee, definitely coffee. I'm very much a creature. I am a creature of habit. As much as I say, no, you know, I just go like to float and flow, go and flow with the universe. A lot of stuff works around the gym routine, you know, and working out becomes an important part of that as well. And I come in here and I say that to everybody. I do this, and I get the opportunity to help people, but I do it because I love it. I love it. I love the connections. I love meeting people. Helping people is great, but I just love it. Something about it, and I've always not necessarily liked the attention, but I've liked to perform. I think even as a kid, I was like that. I've liked to perform, but not necessarily the attention. I know it kind of almost contradicts itself.
I know what you mean.
But it was just in me. It was just in me to do that. And again, inspired by my wife on a night out. I think it was a long time ago. Let's not even mention the age, but it was a birthday party with a friend, and she mentioned a guy. She said Adam would be great at it. And then I was fortunate enough to have a great mentor, and I said, okay, in a weak moment, I said, yeah, let's do it. Let's do this. And then here we are.
You mentioned before, and I really want to get into this. You're a deep thinker, not an overthinker. And I think this is super valuable, because sometimes through the process of self-reflection, we can ruminate a little bit too much, and all of a sudden there comes judgments.
Definitely.
You know, and guilt. And, you know, we start to pull ourselves apart. What's the difference between a deep thinker and an overthinker to you?
Okay, deep thought, and for me, I think it's all about the present. Deep thought is about the present, where you are emotionally, and overthinking, there are external elements, and a lot of it was trying to process what happened a week ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. So we're carrying all this baggage with us. we're still trying to process that. We haven't actually slowed down, stopped, centered ourselves. But also a huge component of moving forward. What am I doing? Where am I going? What's happening with the country? You know, why haven't I got this? All of those types of things that, you know, that you talk about, the anxiety element as well. So for me, being a deep thinker means just pumping the brakes, slowing down, and only focusing on that specific moment, and dealing with what comes to me in that moment, and also finding a resolution in that moment also. And I'm not saying, you know, you're not solving the problems of the world. It may be something very small. It's not about Miss Universe, world peace, and all of those types of deep things. But you can think about that if you want to. But it's about sitting down, and for me, again, I don't move out of it until I've got a little bit of clarity. And so when I get to that point, I'm good at saying, okay, let's move on, rather than getting stuck in a continuous loop of let's pick this up tomorrow, let's pick this conversation up tomorrow. And again, doing something I'm passionate about, going out and riding a bike, having a conversation with others. You know, we've all had them, those light bulb moments where you're like, oh shit, it's like the plot of a movie when you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming, but then you got it. And then you recount the steps, you know, like oh my god, they did it, and then you recount the steps of all of those things that they did, that of course it was them. You know, of course it was there, but we don't see it. And then you got your light bulb moment, and I'm like, great, tick, let's go. Next. So yeah, deep thought is about just slowing down, pumping the brakes, being in the moment, dealing with what you can, and then making sure there's an outcome.
And what is overthinking then?
Overthinking is just getting stuck in a continuous loop, right? Where there really is no beginning and there's no end. It's just a continuous flow.
Right.
And some people, I think, get stuck in it. And some people get so used to getting stuck in that they start to throw things in there unnecessarily to continue the loop, like a loop of suffering, continuous suffering, right? Yeah. They need something, maybe, and I maybe definitely a lot of people slowing down, stopping and thinking and reflecting is frightening. It's scary. Listening to your own voice, confronting demons, actually sitting down and talking, thinking about how you feel in a moment about a situation, things that have affected you, unpacking them. It's scary, right? So what we do is we find something else to throw up there, just to continue the loop, to overthink, to take our minds off actually slowing down and thinking about where's the true issue? Why am I continuing to do this?
And like I said, no end, no outcome when you're in that. Yeah.
There's just no end to it. And then it could be, you know, the minutest of things when you're starting to, when we talk about sweating the small stuff, and when we're younger, we're great at it. Overthinking, getting worried about the small things, what someone says about us, the way we look, what we wear. And then as you progress in life, these small things are more moments. Interactions, conversations, handshakes, moments where you should have hugged someone, you know, moments where you didn't say goodbye. Those are the small things that are important, not what shoes you're wearing, what's that label, who do you know, what do you do? It's a classic, what do you do?
I think overthinking also happens when we have an attachment to that voice inside of our head, and we don't create enough space. And from what I'm observing about you is that you have a very healthy, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm obviously making an assumption, is that you have a very healthy amount of space between you as the observer and your thoughts. Am I right? You don't see yourself as your thoughts, therefore you're able to, I guess, think about them without overthinking about them.
Yeah, you're right, but
because that's the stuff that we don't get taught. We don't get taught not how to think, and also what thought is.
Yep.
And I think from my experience growing up, and where some of my anxieties and stuff used to come from, was that I used to identify with my thoughts, and I still do to this very day. I'm not perfect at it.
Yeah.
But I'm able to catch myself that I'm having a thought in the same way that I can catch myself when I know I'm watching a movie, you know? Yeah. And I'm curious about what's led you to that, to have that skill. Do you meditate? How do you disidentify from your own thoughts?
I would love to be able to meditate, but again, I struggle to
sit still, right?
To sit still. So active meditation, I call it, and that's my bike riding. Right, that's a form of meditation for me. Meditation via movement, doing something that I love, being outdoors. It's inspiring. And when you're doing something like that, everything else leaks away. And I think a lot of the thoughts we carry aren't even ours. If there's some total of parts, like a dart that you walk past in someone and they stick. And you know, you might walk through and you've got 150 darts, which are thoughts that someone else is stuck. You know, and it's in your brain. Whether it's someone's told you something bad about yourself that you've hung on to for way too long. But for me, slowing down gives me the ability and opportunity just to focus on my thoughts. And so I'm not affected by the other stuff, the external stuff. What I know is, you know, perfection. I see a lot of people striving for perfection. The perfection of life is in the imperfection. No one's perfect. No one's perfect, right? Everybody has demons. Everybody has bad days. Everybody takes a shit. It's just the way life is, right? But we get tied into these imperfections, right? And we're like, because I'm less than perfect. You're no different to anybody else. You know, we all suffer from the same. We second guess ourselves. You know, so for me, just understanding that, man, look, I've had shit to deal with in my life. You know, I've dealt with loss and busted friendships and times where my behaviour wasn't anything close to what my behaviour would be now. But I've been through it, and what I've learned is a valuable lesson, and it's enabled me to impart that learning on other experiences and other thoughts. You know, so moving forward, I think previously I think one of the things actually I talk about is not celebrating the wins is a big thing too, not being able to celebrate them, and always reflecting negatively, because reflection, remember, is the opposite. Reflection is always the opposite. And you'll look in the mirror and you'll never see what I see. Hey, you'll never see what I see. You see the opposite. The complete opposite in the mirror, and it's the same. Reflection is often the complete opposite. So we go back and we reflect, and it's all doubts and it's fears and it's I fucked up and I didn't do this. When you should be thinking, what an amazing opportunity to test myself. You know, I was there. At the end of the day, I was there. I got to do something that not a lot of people could do or would do. I put myself in harm's way. And here I am today as a result. So I don't know, in reference to that, in terms of the clarity of thought, I just think I dedicate time to my own thoughts.
Which, and I think in a busy world is such something that we don't do enough of, that people wouldn't schedule that time, or even maybe it's not even on their awareness that they need to be scheduling that time to sort of sit with their own thoughts. Because we are so go. And I think linking into what you said earlier about those traits in regards to listening, being a good listener and having that presence, I find because of the busyness and the external noise, I think that they're all things that we're probably not as good at that we used to be, or are just quite rare now in people, to have that 100% presence in a conversation, that active listening, and then, like you said, giving that for yourself as well.
Yeah, I with stuff like this, right, I know the benefit of talking, and some people don't like to talk, some people don't feel comfortable talking, but talk. And I did it with my children. The benefit of just going out and talking about stuff, eventually you will get there. The process of a conversation, the power of a conversation, that was what the podcast, the DMC, was all about for me, is deeper human connection and understanding through deep and meaningful conversation, because you've got to get used to talking. And what happens when you're talking, like you're processing your own stuff as well. Your own thoughts are starting to come out. And I think the just hearing them come out, sometimes a lot of the time that's liberating, just for you to be able to express that, and then it's gone. Right, it's not spinning around there. If you think I've got limited space, but yet here I am in a conversation where I'm free to actually speak about my thoughts and my fears, boom, there's one. Oh, I'm not good enough, I shouldn't be here, gone. Here you are.
Before we started recording, you said what you really loved about facilitating a module is that day 2 where we really get into the nitty gritties of finding your why and finding your purpose.
Yeah, the feels.
How does someone go about finding their why and finding their purpose? If someone's listening right now and they're feeling a little bit lost, and they feel purposeless, how would you navigate that situation?
How would I navigate it? Shit, there's a lot of ways to answer that, bro? I think logically first, right? And a lot of it is just writing it down. The reasons. And there may only be one, but you can go a little deeper. There may be some superficial stuff on there as well. Why are you doing what you're doing? And if it doesn't stack up, if you can't write down 1, 2, or 3 things why you're doing something, I don't think you should be doing it, to be honest. If you can't find it in your heart and your head, the words to write down, I want to do this because, or I am doing this because, then potentially it's not the right thing for you. So I think there's mission and purpose, right? There are 2 different things. Mission is kind of has an end, finite, I think, in my mind, and purpose is infinite. Purpose is infinite, and will flow continuously through you and around you, and it'll become part of everything you do. So first thing is write down, and then if you found yourself with 15, grade them, compare them, which one stands out to you, focus on that, let that carry you, and then as a result, it may change from time to time, but at least it will give you some comfort and clarity and a reminder when shit gets tough, go to that one thing. And if it's just because it makes you feel good, then great. Because if we're doing things that make us feel good, then our posture's different, our energy's way different. And how good is it to walk into a room where someone's doing something that they really enjoy, that they love? It's different, right? And it rubs off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just going to that mission versus purpose.
Yes.
Just trying to separate them.
Yep.
So a mission is something that has a start and an end. And I assume then missions are always changing. You have a mission in different types of contexts. Like I have a mission at home, a mission at work. And those things will sometimes end as that context evolves. But then there's purpose.
Yes.
Trying to find something tangible for purpose. Is that more like the character traits? I want to be someone who is, let's say, strong and confident. That is a purpose?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think so. I don't think so. No one ever says, man, that guy's on a purpose, eh? You know what I mean? So I think here's what I think, and here's what I've come to know on purpose. We are all here to help one another. And if you connect to that, shit will change. And if you don't overthink helping. Because what is helping? We all assume that it has to be this big, massive thing that we do that's gonna shake the world. It's gonna shake the world. Start with making your partner a cup of coffee. Start with helping someone across the street. Start with opening a car door. Start with the little things and connect you deeper and deeper to the purpose, and see how that makes you feel. But see the byproduct of that, because just those small things, that's purpose. Things that we do, where the payoff inevitably is going to be for us, because we can feel it. But when you actually can see purpose in effect, and you can see how it affects those around you, rather than I'm on a mission, singular focus, my job is to. Again, what we're doing is, if we think about mission, there's, what's the word? it involves a certain momentum and urgency, I think. Whereas purpose is just we're sitting in it, we're living in it. We're sitting in our purpose right now, right? There's no urgency, there's no anxiety. It's just we're doing what we know we should be doing, right? What we are compelled to do. Having conversations, putting it on the internet. That's just that we're swimming in purpose at the moment. We can't explain it, and that's what I love about purpose. We just know. You just know, and you feel like that.
Yeah.
I mean, goosebumps. Do you know what I mean? You know it.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That's purpose. Yeah, this is purpose, bro. And you'll never, I guess because why I reached out to you is because I felt that. Yeah. And I know that you guys, by doing what you're doing, can help so many people, you know? And to be collectively part of that, and even for you to reach out to me, I'm like, oh, why me? Why me? Purpose. Because you just know. Fuck, you just know. I can't explain it. But I just know it's what we, and I include us, what we are here to do.
Man, that was a profound feeling. Adam, when it's all said and done, what do you want your legacy to feel like? What do you want to leave behind here?
Fuck, to be honest, bro, moments like these, eh? Legacy's a funny thing for me because I feel as though I'm part of such a bigger, broader legacy. And when I talk about, I don't talk about me a lot. I talk about we, and the hurdles that people have overcome to allow us to do this type of stuff. So I think the legacy, like purpose, I'm part of a way bigger legacy. But what do I want to be? What do I want to be remembered for?
Yeah,
It's shit like this. You know, for someone to say, fuck, life is hectic, man, it moves super quick, but this guy he stopped, and we talked, and he listened, and I felt it.
Awesome.
I felt it. Yeah.
We love to leave our listeners with one final little tip, something for them to be able to action after they listen to this episode. Something in the realm of something that we've talked about, something that's going to help them better their lives on the other end of this. What would you like to leave our listeners today?
Wowzers. What can I leave of value? And I think maybe go back a couple of minutes and just listen to what we just talked about and see the effect of that. The realization that none of us get out of this alive. So why rush it? Why not slow down? Life's not about getting from A to Z as quickly as we can. Life's about A to B and enjoying that and sitting and enjoying B. And then when you're ready, making the next step. So slow down a little. Enjoy the conversations. Talk to people. And believe in yourself. Like when all's said and done, you may get to the end of this or close to, and you'll appreciate how fucking great you are. You know, the opportunities you've had, the experiences you've shared, the people you've talked to, how wonderful life is. So why not enjoy it? Right? Don't use it as an excuse not to live. Use it as an excuse to celebrate life and just get out and do it. And every connection you have, help someone. Just help someone. That's the world that we all want to live in at the end of the day. So yeah, that's
Thank
probably
you.
it, right?
Thank you so much, Adam. Thanks for listening, everybody. Peace.